Right now, as you watch this video, you might believe that you are the only version of yourself, the only one living this exact life, making these specific choices. But what if that's just an illusion? What if, at this very moment, another version of you is walking a different path? A version that took a risk you avoided. A version that never met that one person who changed your life. A version that isn't even watching this video. This isn't science fiction. It's the cutting edge of quantum physics, a realm where reality is not what we've been taught, where the boundaries of logic dissolve and existence becomes something far more fluid, multidimensional, and mind-bending than we ever imagined. For centuries, we believed that time moves in a straight line, that life is a series of cause and effect, a single unbroken thread. But quantum theory doesn't just challenge that belief, it destroys it. It suggests that your life may not be the only one, that every choice, every moment, every quantum fluctuation could give rise to an entirely new reality. And you might exist in more than one of them, not as a metaphor, but as a scientific possibility. This isn't just speculation, it's a revolution in how we understand reality itself. A revolution that could change the way you see yourself forever. The strangest experiment in science to grasp how this is possible. We need to start with something proven, something that has been tested, repeated, and confirmed in laboratories around the world. It's called the double-slit experiment, and it is one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in all of physics. Imagine firing tiny particles, like electrons, at a barrier with two slits. If electrons were just particles, they would pass through one slit or the other and form two distinct lines on a screen behind the barrier. Simple, right? But that's not what happens. Instead, an interference pattern appears, suggesting that the electrons behaved like waves, passing through both slits simultaneously and interfering with themselves. Here's where it gets even weirder. The moment scientists set up a detector to watch which slit the electron goes through, the interference pattern disappears. The electrons act like normal particles again, choosing one path instead of two. Let that sink in. The mere act of observation changes reality itself. Until we measure them, these particles exist in a state of superposition, being in multiple places at once. It's only when we observe them that they collapse into a single definite outcome. Now ask yourself, if this is happening at the fundamental level of reality, then what does that say about you, about your choices, about the life you're living? The many worlds theory. Are there other versions of you? This leads us to a radical idea that many physicists believe could be true: the many worlds interpretation. What if, instead of a single timeline, reality branches with every quantum decision? What if, at every moment, all possible outcomes happen, but in separate, coexisting universes? There is a version of you that said yes instead of no. A version that moved to a different city. A version that chased your dreams without hesitation. These aren't just hypothetical possibilities. According to quantum physics, they may be just as real as the life you are experiencing right now. But here's the catch. You can only be aware of one version at a time. Your consciousness collapses reality into a single experience. So what does this mean for free will? If all choices play out somewhere, do your decisions even matter? The power of observation, how you shape your reality. This is where science meets philosophy. If reality is shaped by observation, then you, your focus, your attention, your choices, may have far more power than you realize. Most people live life reacting, assuming they are just moving through a fixed world. But what if your attention is actually shaping the trajectory you experience? Quantum physics suggests that your reality is not something you find, it's something you create. Every thought you focus on, every story you tell yourself, every belief you reinforce, collapses the infinite possibilities into a lived experience. You are not merely a character in this reality. You are the observer shaping the storyline. What does this mean for you? It means the idea of missed opportunities is an illusion. The what-ifs that haunt your mind. They are playing out somewhere, but your job is not to regret them. Your job is to fully show up in the reality you are experiencing. It means every decision you make, big or small, is an opportunity to consciously choose the path you want to walk. It means your thoughts, your focus, your observation can either limit you or liberate you. The quantum self. Who are you, really? If reality is constantly branching, if every decision creates another version of you somewhere, then who are you, really? Are you just this single version, moving along one path? Or are you part of something much larger? A web of possibilities, all existing at once. For centuries, we've been taught that identity is fixed, that who we are is defined by our past choices, our memories, and the life we've built. But quantum physics tells a different story. Your consciousness, your sense of I, may not be as solid as you think. It may be just one focus point in a vast field of existence, a field where multiple versions of you are playing out simultaneously. This idea isn't just theoretical. Some physicists believe that consciousness itself could be quantum in nature, existing in superposition, just like the particles in the double-slit experiment. If that's true, then what we call you is not a single entity, but a wave of probabilities, collapsing into momentary certainty with every decision you make. And here's the most unsettling part. What if the version of you experiencing this reality right now is simply the one that happens to be observed? How deep does the rabbit hole go? If consciousness plays a role in shaping reality, then we have to ask, where does the influence of the observer end? We already know that at the quantum level, observation affects outcomes. But what happens when you scale that up? What happens when you apply that to life itself? Could your beliefs, your expectations, your focus actually be influencing the reality you experience? Some experiments suggest this might not be as far-fetched as it sounds. Studies on the placebo effect show that belief alone can change the body's physical state. Research on the observer effect in psychology reveals that when people know they're being watched, their behavior changes. But what if it goes even deeper than that? What if your thoughts, your emotions, your attention are interacting with reality in ways we don't yet fully understand? The paradox of choice. If everything happens, do decisions matter? At first glance, the many worlds theory might seem to destroy the concept of free will. If every decision you could ever make is playing out somewhere, then does it even matter which one you choose? The answer is yes, but not for the reasons you might think. Even if all realities exist, you are only experiencing one of them. And your choices determine which path you continue to follow. Every thought, every action, every moment of focus is shaping the trajectory of your experience. In other words, you are not choosing what exists, you are choosing what you experience. And that choice is everything. Reclaiming your power in a multiverse, if this is true, if observation shapes reality, then the way you see yourself, your life, and your potential has real consequences. If you constantly focus on limitations, you reinforce them. If you dwell in fear, you collapse into realities ruled by it. If you align your mind with possibility, you begin to notice and create pathways that once seemed invisible. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the logical extension of the observer effect, and it suggests a radical shift in how you approach life. Your reality is not just happening to you, you are actively shaping it. So the real question is, what kind of reality do you want to step into? Experiment, testing this for yourself. This isn't just a theory to think about. It's something you can test in your own life. For the next 7 days, try this experiment. Each morning, set a clear intention. Not just about what you'll do, but about what you'll notice. Decide that you'll see opportunities, that you'll witness synchronicities, that you'll experience a reality where things unfold in your favor. Throughout the day, become the observer of your own thoughts. Whenever you find yourself focusing on negativity or doubt, consciously shift your attention. Remember, your focus collapses possibilities into experience. At night, reflect on what happened. Did anything feel different? Did you notice patterns or coincidences that seemed too aligned to be random? If the many worlds theory is correct, then this small shift in observation could have massive effects on the path you experience. Conclusion: you are not just a participant. You are the creator for most of your life. You've been told that reality is a fixed thing, that you are a passenger moving through a pre-existing world. But quantum physics tells us a different story. It tells us that reality is fluid, that it is multi-layered, that it is shaped not just by external events, but by the very act of perception itself. So what do you do with this knowledge? You begin to take back control. You stop living as if your choices are meaningless. You stop assuming that reality is outside your influence. And instead, you start observing consciously, intentionally, with the full awareness that your attention is the most powerful force you possess. Because in the end, the biggest revelation isn't that multiple realities exist. It's that you are the one choosing which one to step into. And that choice starts now.